following presentation is part of the Beyond the Blast Doors network.
May the 4th be with you has come and gone, but we are breaking down all the news with the ladies from Lipstick and Lightsabers. All this and more on Postcards from the Galaxy's Edge. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Postcards from the Galaxy's Edge, and I am now part of the Beyond the Blast Doors network, so please make sure to check out some of the amazing shows that are on beyondtheblastdoors.com. Literally a show for everyone. We have shows like Beyond the Blast Doors, which is kind of the only live weekly Star Wars show every Thursday, streaming Star Wars for live Disney Plus related Star Wars conversations is every Friday night. Around the Galaxy, it's like a fan-based kind of talk show. The Baughman cast is definitely kind of your fanboy positive energy with a wide range of Star Wars topics. The Holo Chronicles, which is all things Star Wars collectibles. And of course, I am Postcards from the Galaxy's Edge. And I am really excited because tonight I have Shannon and Alexandria from Lipstick and Lightsabers joining us tonight. How are you, ladies?
We're good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. So, is it Alexandria or do you like to be called Alex?
You can just call me Alex.
Okay, I just wanted to double check.
Yeah, an Alex and two Shannons.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay. Great. And how are you ladies doing? I think I'm in like week 9 of lockdown. How are things in the US and in Canada?
Yeah, I just got a text from my boss today. I've been like furloughed since basically like this started, but we're gonna have a Zoom meeting on Monday because I think our city is starting to reopen. We're part of like phase 3, so it's still like down the line. I work at a museum, but I'm ready to get back to it. I've been in my house for a while.
And I'm working from home. I'm an animator, so I'm still working, but I miss being in the office.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that because I work in visual effects and I'm enjoying working from home because it's like an hour and a half commute from where I live into London.
Yeah.
But there is something about that creative, collaborative environment where you're like, hey, I can literally just go into the next room and you could show me what you're doing on your machine. And
exactly.
Working remotely.
Yeah, and it's like all the technical stuff of like getting set up at home was not the easiest either.
Oh gosh, yeah, I remember you going through that.
Well, ours was like a panic. Like it was like, oh, they're shutting London down. Like we need to leave the city in 2 days. And
and I don't know about you in visual effects. There's so much sensitive information that it's like that it's like a nightmare trying to get this.
I think I had to sign like 16 non-disclosure acts again, and they had to do an audit to where it was like I had to show them that I was in a closed room and I had to be a wired connection. I mean, I'm luckily set up to work from home. Like the minute they said the option, I bought a desk. I was like, well, I needed to do it for like podcasting and live streams anyway, so I was like, great, double. But yeah, so, but it's always interesting to kind of hear the other countries. I have parents obviously in Kansas, not obviously, but I have parents in Kansas, but it's interesting to hear like how is everyone being affected around the world. So just, it's good to see you guys are smiling, everyone's okay. So
we've just been watching like a lot of movies, TV shows. Like Alex and I have been watching movies like on Saturdays, reading a lot of books, that kind of stuff.
Nice. So did you guys do anything special on May the 4th?
I didn't do anything like super special. I was wearing like a Star Wars shirt, which was fun. I think the best part about May the 4th, they did like a podcaster thing. And we got featured on their page, which was
on
really
Apple.
exciting.
Yes, I wanted to say that. Major congratulations, ladies. Like I saw some of them.
I couldn't believe it. I was
I was not expecting it.
No.
I was really, as they say in England, I was well chuffed. I was so happy for you guys. I saw that and I was like, I know that one. So very well done. I'm so happy because I don't know if it's based on like votes or what, or maybe they listen to your content and were like, yeah, these guys, need to be on the front page. But yes, I meant to say that. So major congratulations. Kind of dovetailing that into, kind of explain to the listeners or the viewers, kind of what is your voice in the Star Wars fandom?
Yeah, so like Lipstick and Lightsabers, we created it to kind of give all of the women in fandom a voice, like a place where they can, you know, talk about how they got into Star Wars, what they like about Star Wars, and just kind of be that positive space. We both got very into fandom after The Last Jedi came out. We both dove headfirst in the trash can. We found each other immediately, so that was really great. And Lipstick and Lightsabers is kind of like a place where it's like, you know, we were able to find that community, and we wanted to give people a place where it's like, yeah, you can have this community too and share your voice and help find other people. So I wanted to start a Star Wars podcast for a long time. I'd been doing something with Network 1901, kind of more Disney focused. So I was really excited to be able to start this with Alex and just have a place where we can just talk about Star Wars, you know, for 2 hours every week.
Nice. No, I really enjoy like your show, and like I think it's good to have a female voice in the fandom and things like that, and not see that we're all like, oh, we hate men. It's like no, not all of us are like that, and things like that. But cool, that's very cool. If you are first-time listeners to this podcast, this is Postcards from the Galaxy's Edge, and every episode we broadcast from a either Canon planet or moon. So, ladies, where are we going tonight?
We're going to Naboo.
Great. So I'm just going to hand it over to Jerry, our resident Canon junkie, who is going to tell us all about the planet of Naboo.
Thanks, Shannon. Pack your best English Renaissance puffy shirt and pants because we're off to beautiful Bombad Naboo. An idyllic world close to the border of the Outer Rim territories, Naboo is inhabited by an indigenous species of intelligent amphibians called the Gungans, and human colonists referred to as the Naboo. Naboo's surface consists of swampy lakes, rolling plains, and green hills. Its population centers are beautiful. Naboo's river cities are filled with classical architecture and greenery, while the underwater Gungan settlements are a beautiful display of exotic hydrostatic bubble technology. Naboo also has quite a few famous and infamous figures from galactic history that call it home, including Sheev Palpatine, Padme Nabiri Amidala, and most importantly, Captain Tarples, Boss Nass, and Jar Jar Binks. Naboo has canon appearances in 4 saga films, numerous Clone Wars and Galaxy of Adventure episodes, as well as a cornucopia of comic and novel appearances. Shannon, back to you.
Great. Thanks, Jerry. So, ladies, why did we pick Naboo? What is it about Naboo that really kind of called to you?
I think it's so lush and it's so green and it's warm. And I also love, there's some other planets that are beautiful, like certainly Alderaan. I love the culture there, but it is way too cold for me. I am like the worst Canadian. And so I just want to be in like warm Italian weather. Like, yes, that is why.
What about you, Shannon?
Yeah, I agree with Alex. It's a beautiful planet. I really like Padme. I really love the Handmaidens, so that's kind of fun to tie in there. And it's a really cool culture. I really love the idea of like a democratically elected queen. Like, you know, that just speaks to me.
Yeah. I did think that was a very cool, and I mean, I obviously loved also the design of all like Padme's costumes. Not gonna lie, I was kind of hoping my homegirl Rey was gonna get a few more than. I think her and Leia have the same amount of costumes. Leia might even still have a few more, but Padme though, like, because I recently rewatched the prequels, and I was just like, my God, like this woman has a costume for every like scene, and it's not that it's not necessary, but it felt like George was like, do you know what? I have all this money now. By God, this woman is gonna have a costume in every scene. I mean, a different costume.
It really adds like to the culture though. Like I think it's really fun, and not everybody loved this in Queen Shadow, the Padme novel, which is about to get a sequel here pretty soon. But E.K. Johnston does kind of go into a little bit about like why she wears what she wears and like why, you know, certain things are selected, and it allows Padme to kind of move in an interesting way through crowds and all of that. It was just really interesting. Like I loved like how the strategic element of it is like as well as like a, well, you know, it's fashion and it's fun kind of thing.
Yeah. Purposeful fashion.
Yes.
As someone who hasn't read the book, can you kind of slightly spoil it for me? Like, what is the reason they mention in the book, or is that what you mean? It's kind of to kind of easily get in and out of.
Yeah, I think like the main example of it, like she goes into it with a couple of other things, but Padme does the decoy maneuver, so she can trade out with her handmaids. Like, most importantly, Sabe often stands in for her. You do see that in The Phantom Menace. But because she is so done up and has this elaborate makeup and these elaborate dresses, like, a lot of the times people are so distracted by that they're not really focused on Padme. So it allows, like, Queen Amidala and Padme to be, like, two different people. So she can kind of operate in the shadows and not everybody necessarily knows what she's up to.
Nice. Yeah, I thought I could get that free book, but unfortunately it only goes to like North America, so I'm gutted. But I do, because like, it's funny, and you have to forgive me. My generation is, my parents saw it when they were in high school, so I grew up with the special editions, so I was slightly older when the prequels came out, and so I really don't identify with Padme very well, because I don't know, I just felt it was like she didn't give that Leia vibe, but I really am enjoying that there's now books and in the animated series and things, and I think they were even saying in the chat when I did the moment Star Wars spoke to me, that they're like, Padme does not get enough love, and I'm guilty of that. I need to kind of read more of this stuff, so I'm really wanting to read the books and things, because I do feel she can be a great character, and I need her to identify with me, so so that's why I wanted to ask that. I was like, I really need to read this book, but it's weird. Sometimes I get really excited the things they announce, and then it's like, we don't get everything in the UK. Literally, the only thing we get first is we got the Saga films a day before you guys did.
Yeah.
That was it. Mandalorian, we're still waiting. I think we finally just got all the episodes.
Gosh.
Yeah, but no, that's really, really fascinating. But yeah, I just thought tonight we kind of would chat that we would chat just kind of current events. So of course the Clone Wars literally just ended, and how did you ladies feel about the ending with that? Are we recovering? Are we okay?
Yeah, I think I had an emotional breakdown over it. I was truly like, the third episode in the Siege of Mandalore is called Shattered.
What a mood.
Truly. And Victory and Death was a very like suited title for that last episode. It really felt very bittersweet. Those last 4 episodes, it was so cinematic. It felt like a film.
Yeah, to me, like, just seeing the amount of care that went into these 4 episodes and just how the story is woven together, like, it just made me so excited for Star Wars. Like, it was great. Like, I just loved it.
Well, and as someone who hasn't really been following the animated series, I did watch the Siege of Mandalore arc. And I mean, I know enough now because I consume so many podcasts and listen and watch so many videos and things. So I know all the big reveals and I know all the kind of story character points, but I was like, I wanted to share this excitement with the current kind of Star Wars fandom. So I watched the Siege of Mandalore story arc and just loved it. And I knew when there was the Darth Maul kind of Ahsoka Tano fight, I was like, that is definitely Ray Park. Like, he had this like leg motion.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's motion captured for sure. I'm curious what you thought, Alex, of like, 'cause since you're an animator, how you felt, because like me as a visual effect person, the motion capture, I was just like, oh my god, this is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And things, but I liked how they kind of said in the behind the scenes that obviously because it's animation, they still had to exaggerate, you know, the flips and things, because in animation, if you don't do that, like, you kind of miss it.
Yeah.
But,
I talked about it a bit on our podcast, but I was saying it looked beautiful. The animation looked beautiful, but I was taken aback because it still felt a little bit too CG, like live action CG to me. That the movements weren't like I guess like smooth enough. Like the arcs weren't. They were like more akin to a like live action animation that you would see. And in the previous episode, there was that beautiful sequence with Ahsoka jumping out of the ship and just like like going crazy Ahsoka on everyone. And that was like, that's my favorite animation in the Clone Wars. Like, I thought that was beautiful. The animation was so refined, and like, it was just, it was more simpler, but like that simplicity doesn't come easy. Like, it looks like it's easy,
No.
but I think that's why that animation speaks to me more, because it's so smooth and simple.
Yeah. No, it's funny that you mentioned this, and I don't mean to deviate from Star Wars slightly, but I worked on The Lion King, and it was animated, but not in the sense of an animated, like it's so hard to try to explain it, and you're hitting that point where like that it had to be the opposite. It had to be photoreal.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, when people want the lions to kind of make these funny faces, they just be like, no, we can't, because their physics don't allow that. And so it was so hard to find that balance where it was the opposite, where it was like we needed to be more photoreal instead of animated and cartoony, I guess was the word Jon Favreau kept saying, was we don't want it too cartoony. But then he also was like trying to push it. He'd be like, you sure we can't get this lion to kind of move? And it was the eyebrows. Like he kept kind of going. So yeah, but it's just fascinating because as an animator, it's great to hear that point of view, because as the VFX editor, it's like, yeah, sorry. Speaking out. Sorry, Shannon.
For me, it's I was going to say it's more about the visual language of the production you're on. So, like, for example, like, Lion King calls for that visual language. So when I saw, like, this more realistic animation in Clone Wars, it was beautiful, but I didn't find it matched the visual language that it had set up previously.
Oh my god, that is so well said. That is...
Well, like, she was exactly right. 'Cause, like, I had, like, the same reaction as you, Shannon. Like, I thought it looked cool, and, like, you could tell when it was Ray Park, because, like, the way he stood changed.
The
like,
weight.
The weight, yeah. And so when Alex called that out, and she was like, well, it doesn't match what came before, I was like, you're absolutely right. And, like, that's why it stood out. So it's, I would have... Now I kind of want to see what that scene would look like if it wasn't motion captured, like how it would have been.
And actually, that's a very good point, is weight. And I talk about this on a kind of a separate visual effect podcast. Things like digidoubles, sometimes the reason why things look so fake is they have kind of what they call the ragdoll effect. And so because there's no weight to it, your brain just goes, I don't know why, but that just looks really fake. And so I never thought about that being the weight, because in motion capture it's going to capture those little nuances. That's why they do it. But that's very fascinating to hear that other side that's like, it just didn't quite work. So I love that. Like I said before we started recording, I love kind of not challenging opinions, because that makes it sound like you're arguing, but you know what I mean, like kind of I never thought of that. That's
I mean, if
brilliant.
you want more of that good motion capture, kind of like we were saying before we started recording, Jedi Fallen Order is great.
Yeah. So kind of speaking on to that point, wonderful segment to change there, Shannon. Gee, it's not like you do a podcast or anything. So Jedi Fallen Order franchise, what are our thoughts?
We're so excited.
Oh man. See, so Alex played the game, and I watched a walkthrough of the game. So we kind of had like different experiences, but it's so good. We love Cal Kestis. He is baby. We love Marin. She's a Night Sister. If you haven't played, she's amazing. We're both very excited to get more of this world. I really want to dive deep into Cal and Marin's dynamic. I ship it very hard.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I wish I played the game so we could, but we'll come back.
I saw someone tweet that they're like, oh, well, of course they had to, like, extend the series because they never, like, really approached the romance of it.
I want more. I want it all. Like, it's
even Seer. Like, whole... The Mantis crew. I'm so excited.
Yeah, let me say, like, the content that we were getting before The Rise of Skywalker, like, with The Mandalorian and with Jedi Fallen Order, it approached Star Wars and, like, the Star Wars world in such a unique way. Like, Jedi Fallen Order takes place, you know, after Order 66. Like, and yes, we are following another person who survived. Like, we've kind of seen that in animation before. But just, like, where we are in the world and like who Cal Kestis is, and then like meeting Seer and finding out her backstory and then tying that in with the Inquisitors and the Night Sisters, like you're just getting such a different look at this same universe, and the way it builds the characters and the emotion, like, it's just so well done.
Yeah.
I remember like November of 2019, it was like a triple header for Star Wars, and it actually, like, it felt good to see people happy about Star Wars, because then we also had Resistance Reborn came out, and I know you're big book people as well, so I'm curious to see what you thought of Resistance Reborn, but it was just good to see people being like, yeah, Star Wars, you know. And I did see some people comment, is that because all the main characters were male? I didn't, as a woman, I didn't personally feel that. I don't know how you ladies felt. I just was like, I think it's more just the storytelling, but, you know, that's just me.
Yeah, Cal at least was surrounded by women. Like,
it was more feminine than we thought it was going to be.
The characters that were influencing him the most were all women. Three in particular, and it was very, I found femme gaze. Like, I really, like, attached myself to that project.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, I would almost say, like, with Resistance Reborn, Mandalorian, Jedi Fallen Order, they, like, trick you. Because, like, you think it's a male story. Because it's like, oh, this is about Poe Dameron, or, oh, this is about, you know, the Mandalorian, or whatever. And then you get into it, and it's actually a very feminine story. And it's really dealing with, like, character and growth. And a lot of the people who are, like, whispering in their ear and kind of swaying them are all women. And I think, like, Alex and I think especially with The Mandalorian, like, we were very surprised. We're like, okay.
Very much. It has a very paternal, like, feel. Because, like, when, I don't know if you ladies were at Star Wars Celebration, but I was at the Mandalorian panel, and, like, it just was like, yeah, we're gonna have, you know, Western shootout, bang, bang, bang. And then the minute I saw the first episode, and there's, like, this baby Yoda creature, and just the next episode where he's, like, he doesn't even know he's doing it. He's having these, like, fatherly instincts. And then in my episode 4, she, you know, you have Cara Dune saying, your boy. Like, I was not expecting that whole, like, father, you know. It's also very much the Japanese kind of, oh god, the name's leaving me, but
Lone Wolf and Cub.
Thank you. But the writer that did it, like, yeah, sorry. But yes, I love that. And it's a different kind of story that we've seen before. We always say a lot of the broken families, which is still there. But, So it might have been actually October. I don't know why I said November. I think it might have even been October, but maybe, I don't know. It was just good. 2019, it was just like, yes, this is just kind of that breathing moment, because we knew Rise of Skywalker was going to be very dividing. But, and then, yeah, like, I mean, one of the scenes that really spoke out to me in Resistance Reborn was the tie scene.
When he tied his tie.
Yeah, us too.
Let me tell you, I'm not a big shipper. I call myself Raylo Light, but I was digging some Storm Pilot right there. Like,
you died.
Same.
I was like, okay, because it's Rebecca Rowan. Was it Rebecca that did that one?
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, I just wanted to be like, it's actually, I think I did tweet at her, because that was before people were, like, being mean to her. I was like, I saw what you did there with the tie scene. I was like,
that's my favorite scene in that book.
Yeah,
so good.
We've always liked Storm Pilot. Like, we are pretty big shippers. We read a lot of fan fiction, and
brilliant.
We like the background Storm Pilot, but, like, that book turned us into, like, full Storm Pilot.
Yeah, because I think we were all always like, oh, we kind of like Ginger Pilot too.
Good crack ship.
I don't think I know what Ginger Pilot is.
Oh, it's
Hux and Poe.
Oh, okay.
It's a really good crack ship. Just.
But I think Rebecca convinced us that we were full Storm Pilot.
Yeah, it was. Oh man.
Well, you know what I like about that scene, and this is, like, how I feel, is just anyone can read what they want into it. Someone could just read it's two friends. Someone could read, oh, there's a and I like that. I think that's I can't talk, I'm sorry. Like, a really well kind of way of being written is like anybody can find what they want in there. But I mean, I remember, like, reading it on the train, and I was just like, oh,
well, and, like,
okay.
Even if, like, she wasn't going in that direction with it, it's amazing to see, like, male intimacy. Like, that's something that we don't get in media. So, like, seeing that between Poe and Finn, like that's always been there, is still really great.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure she intended it to be fully like Storm Pilot shipping, which I still really love. Like it's great.
Yeah. I wondered if I had mentioned that scene that I was just like, Yep. So I also really enjoyed the humor. Like, I really was laughing. I love the Maz Kanata bit. So sorry, up top, there's going to be some spoilers for this book because we're just going to dovetail into
Go read it.
Yeah, or listen to it. Actually, I just realized I actually was listening to it because I don't read very well, so I do a lot of the audiobooks. So actually, now I realized this was one that I listened to. The Rise of Skywalker is the one I actually read, but I just love the Maz Kanata bit too, where I mean she's so sassy, and I was literally giggling because I had it in headphones and I'm doing my work and people were like, "What are you listening to?" And I was just like, "Oh," they're like, "Oh, let me guess, Star Wars." I'm like, "Yes, okay."
Yeah, I didn't expect to like that book because it was like a Poe novel and they were talking about like Poe is in it and we're gonna revisit like Snap Wexley and like all this stuff, and I'm just like, I don't know about this, and then it ended up just being so good.
Yeah, but it's hilarious how the books that we would have the least interest in, because we also loved Master and Apprentice last year.
Yep,
those were our favorites.
Yeah, and like both of us, like we don't really like Qui-Gon, we weren't super interested, and then it was just so good.
Yeah, I definitely think that book definitely helped as well, the whole Qui-Gon thing. And also, I think established Obi-Wan even more. I didn't know we could even need that. Yeah. But I did enjoy, though, Resistance Reborn a little more than Master and Apprentice, but I think that was also just when I was trying to listen to it. I just kept getting interrupted.
It's a more fun book. Like, I one of the critiques of Master and Apprentice is that it's a little heavy, which I definitely agree with. I liked what Claudia Gray did to like offset that though, because then we got into like Rahara and all that kind of side of it, so that was kind of fun. But like with Rebecca Roanhorse, like you can tell that she was just having like a blast writing that book.
I think my only thing was I was really wanting a lot more Rey, but then I just told myself, I was like, we're getting a film.
Yeah, I think she probably wasn't allowed to touch her very much.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was. Like, we read Justina Ireland's book, too, the middle grade one. I can't remember what that was.
Spark of the Resistance.
Yeah, Spark of the Resistance. And that was kind of the same thing. We were, like, wanting more Rey, but, like, I don't think they let any authors really touch Rey.
Yeah. So, I mean, I understood that. And I was like, okay. Because I will say that was the only thing, because I had no idea what the book was going to be about, Resistance Reborn. I was just like, great, it's the new characters. I'm so invested in these new characters. And then I was like, this is a lot of Poe. I was like, no offense. I was like, how much more Poe do we need?
Apparently, we're going to get a whole other book of Poe.
I know. Like, I love Oscar Isaac. So anytime I read Poe, I see Oscar Isaac. It's a brilliant, but I just was like, he had such a strong arc in, well, this obviously could be debated, but, in The Last Jedi, and, it's just kind of like, we see so much of it. It's almost sometimes feels like he's almost bigger than our main protagonist in the sequel trilogy, Rey.
Yeah, and Alex read the comics as well, the Poe comics.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm like, how much of Poe do we need? But that's just me. If you like it, great, but...
To me, it almost feels like he's the character that Lucasfilm Story Group is comfortable with, like, just passing around.
True.
Like, that's what I get from it. Resting on him. Like, there was never, like, any spoiler territory, I feel like, with Poe. Whereas, like, with Finn, you have to talk about, like,
his
the dynamics within the First Order, the backstory. With Rey, it's the same thing. Like, with Poe, you could kind of do whatever, and, like, it'd be okay.
Yeah. I'm waiting for some Finn stuff.
Yeah.
I want some Finn stuff. Like, again, I love what John Boyega did, and I sometimes walk around London and keep thinking, am I going to see him? Am I going to see Daisy? I'm like, I would never say anything to them because I'm so shy.
Yeah.
I think I could go up to John and be like, what's up, mate? You were awesome. Daisy, I'd just be like, I love you. Run away.
I feel like, that's us at Celebration, seeing people.
Yeah. We were just like, we met Christopher Sean at Celebration, and we just
giggled at him.
We were just giggling, like we couldn't even. He was very nice.
Oh, well, like I remember I was trying to rush to like think it was the Rise of Skywalker panel. I think it was like the first day. And I saw Alex and Molly from Star Wars Explained. And of course, I say hi to them by name, not even thinking, pardon me, they don't know who the fuck I am. They're just like, and of course they were trying to find their seats. And so I think poor Molly had this look like, oh God, do I need to stop and like take a picture or whatever? And I was like, don't worry, I know you're trying to get your seats. I just wanted to say hi. And just because I was with my mom trying to find our stage or whatever. But yeah, it's just, that was, yeah. It's just like, I'm a bit awkward. Okay.
We all feel that.
So you were mentioning offline that you guys were recording about the Rise of Skywalker novelization. And if I understand correctly, you didn't like it. Yes, yeah. Let's talk about, because for me, I actually really liked it, and it helped me swallow some of the harder parts of the film I couldn't get behind. But I'm really dying to kind of hear your perspective. Go.
I think, so just off the bat, Alex and I weren't huge fans of The Rise of Skywalker in general. We were pretty open about it on our channel, and we're totally understanding if you like the film, and we're actually really happy when people find enjoyment in it. So we were a little bit nervous about this book. When it was released early, we saw a couple of people who were talking about it and reading certain passages that helped them feel better. And especially for me, like, that really helped going into it. The problem, I think, is that, like, it was just kind of a mess. Like the movie was a mess, so like obviously the book was kind of gonna be, but I think like the big problem was like the characterization. Like, it just didn't match what had come before. Like, Rey felt really out of character, so did Leia and Kylo Ren. There were certain scenes that like I really liked, but it was just, since the characterization was so off, it was hard to like let that help me like Rise of Skywalker more. And it was hard to read. Like, in the beginning it wasn't that bad, and then kind of like when the movie turns, that's when the book turns, and it just got a little bit difficult to get through towards the end.
I don't know, I kind of disagree in a sense, because I think I had a bit of an issue with the way Kylo was written before he changed to Ben Solo. So that was like the first half of the book, because I found that his inner monologue, like his inner thoughts while I was watching the movie, I could like imagine just from Adam's like micro expressions what Ben like inside that mask was feeling and thinking. And then the book, I think, did the opposite of what I thought that Adam was portraying through those micro expressions, and I think that's what really bugged me.
Yeah, and part of that could have been like we went in with like preconceived notions, like it's just totally like a thing. Like sometimes, you know, like you let your own headcanons kind of like see. Like, what am I trying to say here? You let your own headcanons kind of change the way you see things. Yes. But the thing that I kept going back to is that the book and the movie contradicted so many of like the new canon that had come out. And in like regards to like how Kylo Ren is written, like we had been reading the Kylo Ren comic, and it just didn't fit with that at all. There were like direct lines that like contradicted that comic, and I'm like, why? I just didn't get that.
Okay, I see. Because I haven't read the comic, because some of the stuff I've seen like from the comic, I'm just kind of like, this is a bit OP, and I don't know. Like and I don't know if it's because, again, that whole preconceived notions of what I think Kylo Ren is, or maybe it's because I absolutely love his performance in The Last Jedi and things like that elevator scene. That just, the emotion, the pure emotion on his face. I mean, let's just say, Adam Driver.
Yes.
Give it up.
And so I guess that's the tricky thing. And again, I can also understand and appreciate those are three different mediums we are talking about. You know, one's a visual, one's a visual written, and one's a written. So I get that. I guess for me, I think the reason why I liked the novelization, and it's funny though, because I'm literally listening to you ladies speaking, and I'm like, what's something that I can actually remember? The only thing that I really enjoyed was kind of the Leia stuff, and how you saw how she saw Rey like almost like a daughter. And I liked kind of Luke kind of going, come on, let's go. She's like, no, I still got stuff to do. So I guess I kind of liked that, which of course we weren't going to get because of Carrie sadly passing.
Yeah.
You know, and and things like that. And so, I mean, I guess I really, because when I saw that she was like, that line where she's like, you know, when she calls Leia master, I wanted to be like, yeah, and it just felt a little flat first viewing, but then kind of reading the stuff in the book, I was like, okay, this feels a bit more deserved. And I don't know, but then actually thinking about it, I'm like, well, there's not a lot I can say that really I can remember from the novelization.
But you're right, though. Like, Leia was never going to get the arc that she should have had since Carrie passed away. And so the novel was always going to be the place where they could inject more Leia. Yes. Which I definitely think Ray Carson did. Personally, I prefer the way Claudia Gray writes Leia. I think that's kind of like a personal thing. But I do agree that, like, having her more in the book was needed, for sure.
Yeah. Definitely. And I guess, I mean, the one thing I read it kind of over the span of 2 days kind of thing. I can say the one thing that did make me sit up in my chair and was excited was Ben Solo speaking to Rey after he had passed. Yeah. Kind of like, I was like, you know, and I'm okay. Like I said, I'm kind of Reylo light, but I was like, cool, I just needed that one line. Great, I'm happy, you know, kind of thing. So I was like, cool, I'm done with that. Because I don't share it a lot, but I do write some fan fictions, and there's one I want to write that it's kind of like, how does Rey feel after landing on Ajon Kloss from being Exegol? I mean, the emotions going through her, you know. But I do think Daisy portrays that, because like you watch her and like she's so happy to see her friends, but she's trying to hold it together. Because I always feel the Rey character almost has this facade where it's like, okay, I have to be that everything's okay, I'm that perky, and you're seeing that crumble a little bit, and it's so well played. Like, I'm sorry, the sequel trilogy, yes, it's a little sloppy in places. It's some of the best acted stuff. That's just my hot take. Kind of watching the prequels again, there are just some things I'm just like, but
well, like that's kind of like one of the cool things about Reylo, like in general, is that these are characters who are both hiding behind masks. I think a lot of people forget that, like, Rey is somebody who was alone for a really long time, and she's not like Miss Sunshine, I love everybody, I'm a perfect Jedi. You know, there's a lot of anger in her that was introduced in The Last Jedi, and I think, like, you're right, kind of in that moment, like, she is trying to hold it all together, and that's something that's really interesting. It's like we never really get to see Rey without her mask when she's within the Resistance.
Yeah, so that's kind of one of the things I don't think I'll ever share it with anybody, but I'm writing now is what happens when that mask ends, and I'm going to have Rose Tico and Connix there.
Yes. That's what we wanted.
You know, kind of just that girl power, like, you know, because the thing is, it's funny, like, some of the questions is, oh, that was the other thing I liked in the novelization. I liked seeing, there was more Rose, and also Chewie. I actually liked, because now that we're talking about it, I'm remembering, I know what you were saying about the inner monologues, but I liked seeing that there was still that kind of love between Chewie and Ben, not Kylo Ren, but Ben, that he still has a picture, he can't kill him, like, you know, oh, this was, you know, I think I highlighted and tweeted it out. I was just like, those were little moments that obviously we didn't get in the film that I was just like, okay, that's awesome, you know, kind of thing. So, you know, so that was another thing of like the novelization. I was like, okay, you know, we didn't have to have it in a film because obviously you can only get so much. But I will say one thing in the book that I didn't feel was necessary was the silver-haired kind of character that, like, oh god, Zori Bliss was kind of trying to find.
Yeah.
That was the only part that I was just like, we don't need that.
Such a weird C plot. Like,
yeah, it's just like a random, like, 3 chapters with Zori doing something else.
I was just like, I mean, it was cool seeing how Babu Frick got saved, but I was just like,
but did we need that?
I was just kind of like, okay.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, okay, that's a bit weird, but to each his own. But I was just kind of like, I literally finished reading this. I was like, that didn't, you know, pay off anything.
Yeah.
No.
I'm excited to get more Zori content. It was just weird just cramming it into that book.
Yeah. It wasn't
Give me a comic on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's funny, like, she's like flying back and going, hey, come with me. No, I got this right. All right, you come with me. No, I got this right too. I'm like, get off the freaking planet. You're all gonna die. Just go. Just go. I mean, it made sense some of the other ones because we saw them because they were the ones with her when they attacked the team and things. But this character that we never saw, it was like...
I feel like they were trying to show, like, how she had been, like, inspired by Poe to, like, join the Resistance. But, like, I just don't think that was the place for it.
You didn't need that character to do it.
No.
You really didn't.
No.
Like, it could have just literally been, like... Babu could have said something for all we care.
I wish Babu would have said something like really profound and then ended it with "Hey, hey."
I absolutely love that the woman her name leaves me, did the voice and the puppeteering on set. That was so badass. Like, I was just like, oh yes, because that's kind of unheard of. Like, when I was on the Dark Crystal, and those are like professional puppeteers.
What?
So
You were on
The
Dark
Dark Crystal.
I was sorry, kind of just casually dropped that. I was the visual effect editor for episode 4 and 9. So that was like,
you were talking to the #1 Deet stan, Alex Leonis.
nice. Yeah, I actually, funny enough, just recorded on a Dark Crystal podcast, guy from Australia and everything. But so no, it was fascinating seeing all the puppeteering work.
I borderline harassed Netflix Twitter account being like, when are you going to announce season 2?
Oh, we are too. Like, we're sitting there in the wings, kind of like, we are ready for season 2, because it was all filmed in London. The visual effects were all done in London, to the point they had to change the, sorry, Star Wars fans, you're getting a little bit of a Dark Crystal
Hey,
thing
if
here.
you like Star Wars, you'd like Dark Crystal. Go watch it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what was it? That they even for the BAFTAs, which is the British Film and Television Academy Awards, were like, we should be able to qualify for this because it was pretty much a British production. Yes, Jim Henson is an American company, but 80% was done. But we'll talk afterwards, and I'll tell you anything. Well, not anything you want to know, but some NDAs there. But it was really cool. So, having a love of this puppeteering, to tie it back to Star Wars, I think that's something I also felt the sequel trilogy did really well, was getting that practical back. Like, the prequels, the visual effect nerd in me here, really helped push that technology, seeing how far can we go with it. And then I think the sequel trilogy helped pull it back to go, okay, here's the balance. Here's your practical from the originals. Here's your visual effects from the prequels. Now let's find that marriage in the middle with the sequel trilogy. So to see, actresses puppeteering Babu Frick, and, that things are practical, But then that being said, then the Mandalorian sets are just phenomenal, that they're in something called the volume, and it's like a 270-degree screen that you can, it makes sense that, it's funny, it didn't dawn on me. Of course, his armor is like reflective.
Yeah.
Captain Phasma, funny story, they had to manipulate the set extension, the digital set extension of the cruiser, because the stage lights were reflecting in her helmet. So they were just like, instead of painting it out, they were like, well, just make big lights in the top of the destroyer.
That's awesome. I always think of, like, Last Jedi, like, I love seeing, like, they actually built that throne room, and, like, the hut exploding was, like, a practical effect.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's so crazy.
Yeah, definitely. But, it's just cool to, and so I'm glad to see that the visual effects are now coming back as a tool, not driving the story, because I think we're now... Yeah, where people are now educated to it. They're just like, now the Marvel series does it really well. Like, I couldn't have told you those Avenger suits were digital. Like, I was like, what? So even me, who's like, has a trained eye, I'm like, oh, I couldn't have told you that. That's pretty cool. But anyway, wow, that was a really random fandom circle there. We went from Dark Crystal to Star Wars to Marvel back.
We watch all of them, so.
Yeah.
So as you know, May 4th, we got some more announcements. So we got Taika Waititi is doing a film. So we do know we have a film coming. I know it's so early days, and we're kind of just putting our tinfoil hats here, but any speculation on what that might even be? Like, do you think this is the thing Kevin Feige is supposedly also producing?
I had said that I thought that might be the case, that Kevin Feige's producing. I think it is going to be completely separate. Like, it won't be like Solo, where it was attached to the character of Han Solo, or Rogue One, that was like attached to a concept from A New Hope. I think it will be completely bare bones on its own, I guess, like The Mandalorian is. I think that after seeing some of the Mandalorian documentary, The Gallery, that's just appeared on... It's amazing. Exactly. It is amazing. I really have a lot of trust in Taika. I really do.
I would agree with that. Like, if I hadn't seen his episodes, and like, don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed Thor Ragnarok, but Thor Ragnarok is also very different, like, compared to the other two Thors. Not a big fan of The Dark World. I think that's one of the weakest. Is it Dark World?
Yeah.
Like, one of the weakest Marvel films. And Thor is okay. Like, established him well, but Ragnarok. But that's a big tone difference. And so I was like, and like, obviously then we have him winning the Academy Award for Jojo Rabbit, which fantastic. But again, it's a very different kind of tone. How is that going to work for Star Wars? But then seeing he did, what was it?
He did episode 8, the finale.
Yeah. That like worked great because there was still some humor in there. Like I love the, hey baby, do the magic hand thing, you know, because you sometimes need those moments to breathe.
It still felt like Star Wars humor though. Like Star Wars humor, I feel like it's very specific and like it's hard to like describe to people like who don't like watch Star Wars. Because like I liked Thor Ragnarok. I wasn't like super into it. Like I like it on its own. But I remember when he was announced to be working on The Mandalorian, I was a little bit worried because I was like, I don't know how this is gonna go. But I agree, like seeing that episode and then hearing him talk like on that gallery show and just his process and like what he thinks about with Star Wars, like I think whatever he does is gonna be really good. Like anybody, all of those directors that worked on Mandalorian like have my trust forever. Like all of them do.
Yeah.
Well, like I'm excited. I hope Deborah Chow is still supposed to be doing the Obi-Wan series. I don't know if she's off that now or not. I know they have a different writer, but
I think she's still on it.
Because like I loved like her 2 episodes, and that's why I'm just like, ooh, and Deborah Chow I trust. Like you kind of mentioned the gallery. What I love is I love that they seemed like all the directors kind of took turns being on each other's sets. Yeah. Like it's such a collaborative.
So collaborative.
And that's very Jon Favreau. I can't speak for Dave Filoni, but Jon Favreau is very much about, that's why he loves being in the visual effects stuff. He loves that collaboration. So it's really cool to see that. That's living on even more kind of thing.
Well, and like a big part of that too, like with him wanting it to be collaborative, I think like Dave Filoni, like hearing him talk about Star Wars is just amazing. Like we're really big friends with Charlotte and Caitlin from Sky Talkers, and they love Dave Filoni. But this was like finally a chance where like I like really listened to him talk, and I'm just like, man, like he gets it. And through him, I think all these other directors just like really got to learn so much, and it made The Mandalorian feel just so realistic and so connected, and that was just like that's why it's so magical. That's why it's so good.
I agree, because like I've really come to enjoy Solo, but after my first viewing of Solo, it felt very fan servicey. And now fan service is not a bad word, but it's all in kind of the levels and the, more importantly, the kind of execution. And it's funny, The Mandalorian has a lot of that, but somehow it feels different. It doesn't feel like a, hey, do you see what I did there? Hey, and I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of like how we were talking about Star Wars humor. It works in The Mandalorian, but Solo, it felt a little thrown in your face. Like when the the Woody Harrelson character had like Lando's outfit. I was just like, oh, come on. Like, this is getting ridiculous kind of thing. But again, I'm starting to enjoy the story just to have it like, you know what? It's fun. If I just need something fun playing in the background, I'll pop Solo in. If I need something really deep and reflective and enjoying performances, I'll watch The Last Jedi. I mean, I've even watched Tros a lot now, just because I do love kind of Rey. Maybe not her as a Palpatine, but yeah. But
well, and like, and Alex and I have a really interesting relationship with Solo. Like we read a lot of the tie-in. We read all the tie-in novels leading up to it, and then we saw it, and we both kind of had like a love-hate relationship with it. And then reading the novel, like the solo novelization, if you haven't read it, it's one of the best Star Wars novels.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good.
Like, Alex, please wax poetic about this novel.
Nice.
What is so great about this is that I think it does exactly the opposite of like what I was saying about the Rise of Skywalker, where it goes into these characters' inner monologues, and it is like, it gives you so much more context to certain scenes, and there's a lot of extending scenes rather than just throwing in random Zori Bliss stuff. They really, Mur Lafferty really like put an effort to extend scenes, especially between the women, which I think is lacking in the actual movie. So a lot of complaints that I have from this movie, I don't have from the book.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
brilliant.
book
I'll
fixes
definitely
like
check it out.
every problem I have with the movie. Sometimes the book makes me more angry at the movie. But it's like, there's this amazing scene with L3 and Kira. Like, in the movie they do talk, but like it's extended in the book, and they're kind of talking about how similar they are. And Kira tells L3 like her backstory, or like bits and pieces of it. We get to see it a little bit more on her inner monologue, but you get this like interesting idea of like, you're not so different from a droid. Like, where's your restraining bolt? Why are you with your master? Like, kind of thing. And Kira's like, oh, snap. Like, and that kind of plays into her, you know, turning against Dryden. So like it strengthens that element of the story.
Oh, you sold me, ladies. I'm definitely good. I think I got that on like either my Audible or my Amazon like their book once. I'm gonna have to definitely check that out, because I do feel like some of the novels and novelizations can add that. Like, I really enjoyed Catalyst from Rogue One, because I felt it made the Mira sacrifice so much stronger, because you realize their whole lives is trying to just run away, and they just keep getting caught, and just no wonder she's like, you are not taking us. Whereas if you don't know like all that back stuff, you're like, okay, chill out, woman. But so you've sold me. I'll definitely check it out.
Another great example of that same thing is Battlefront 2 Inferno Squad.
Yes.
It weighs down the story campaign in the video game so much. Like,
no joke, Inferno Squad is my favorite Star Wars novel. Like, I recently re-listened to it. It's very heavy. Like, that, you know, nothing's gonna go well. Like, you know, these are Imperials, and then like a terrorist subset of the rebels. Like, nothing's gonna go well, and it just, you get so attached, and you feel this gray area that Star Wars allows to exist, and it's so well done, and it's hard to read. Like, I like Lost Stars because it's easier to read, but Inferno Squad just hits you so emotionally. Oh, Christy Golden, like, take me away. So good.
Nice. I'm definitely gonna come to you ladies and be like, okay, which books? Because I do want to dive more in, now that we're kind of in, and I'm getting excited for the almost said the Old Republic. Sorry, the High Republic.
Hi.
Thank you. The High Republic and things. So I've already got like the first book pre-ordered, and I'm excited because we actually finally have a blonde Jedi. Like, all the heroines are brunette, and I'm just like, give me a platinum blonde, because I'm naturally platinum blonde, and I'm like, we're not always like the damsels in distress or the bimbos. Like, has there ever been a blonde in Star Wars other than Gwendolyn Christie?
Luke.
No.
Oh, Luke.
Well, Luke, yeah, but I mean, woman, no. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, yeah, and they're always brunette and British, which is like, hey, I'm not complaining, but it's like, yeah, because no wonder. I mean, God, do you remember, like, when Rogue One came out, everyone was like, yep, that's Rey's mom.
Oh, yeah.
Because she was brunette and British. So speaking of women, another announcement we got was, please help me, you'll probably know the name, is the lady from Russian Dolls.
Leslie Headland?
Yep.
Yes.
I was just typing that before we started this.
Yeah. So what was it from the news? Like, so basically, hers is a TV show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So and the whole press release. So this came out with the Taika Waititi news. So like, he's going to write a feature film along with Kirsty Wilson Carnes. From 1917.
Yes, from 1917. Yep.
And then they also confirmed, so Leslie Headland is developing a series. She's going to write it, executive produce it, and serve as a showrunner for it.
Wow, that's a lot of hats.
Yes.
But now, correct me if I'm wrong, is Russian Dolls the one that had the chick from American Pie that was on Netflix, or is that Okay, gotcha. Because that was a fun kind of quirky show, and this is supposed to have a female character, isn't it?
It's supposed to be what word did they use?
They said female centric.
But I don't think that was the Star Wars press release that said that was previously in in an article. So I don't know where those words came from.
Yeah, I just heard this from a previous episode I was just recording, that the person was like, if it doesn't come from StarWars.com, sometimes it's like, so, okay, that's fair, because I was about to speculate, being like, do we think this is Dr. Aphra? Do we think that, what do we think?
I know what I want it to be.
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
I wanted it to be Night Sisters.
Yes. We want a Night Sister Dathomir show.
We think that it could be that, but who knows?
Ooh.
Like, okay, back to Solo. Maul telling Kira, come to me on Dathomir. I want it. I want to see that.
Like, it should be that show.
Yes. Like, come on, Amelia Clarke needs to be back in Star Wars.
She does.
Kira was a great character.
Does. Yeah, she didn't get enough love, and I always feel for Amelia Clarke, because she always is either in movies or franchises that kind of just...
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Game of Thrones was for a very long time, but then they did a very about-face with her character, and then all of a sudden there's so much, hate towards her and things like that.
She felt really deeply about that, too. I read a lot of interviews that came out, because, she knew about that before any of us did, and she really felt for that.
I love her reaction in the table read, where he's reading it for the first. She's just like, yeah, that's happening. Because my better half was very engaged and entrenched in the story, and so I mean, I kind of see where they were going with it, because obviously when you know the end and you kind of go back, but then again, it's that because you know the end, you kind of you can kind of fill in the blanks, but I still feel it was kind of sudden, kind of
it was very rushed the last season. I just think that they needed more time to get there.
Well, isn't it the speculation that they were rushing so they could do Star Wars, only to now they're not doing Star Wars? It's like, okay.
Whoops.
But it's like, oopsie. I'm gutted. One thing I did find out that was kind of slimmed it, if you have a Galaxy's Edge droids, you can now run them with your phone.
Oh, that's
so cool.
Except not in the UK.
Oh, of course not.
Oh, no. Probably
I'm so excited.
Canada either. It's probably just the US App Store.
I mean, the US is apparently the only place that exists. So.
Oh, my God. I was just like, okay, some of us do travel internationally.
Yeah.
And
no, I think you get it. This happens all the time to Canadians, too.
Yeah, and that's what, you guys are even on the same continent. Come on.
Yeah.
Same time zone. Let's go. But ladies, you have been fantastic. Tell the listeners and viewers where they can find you.
Yeah, so if you're interested in Lipstick and Lightsabers, you can listen to us anywhere you listen to podcasts. We're also on the Network 1901 website. You can also find us predominantly on Twitter at @lip_lightsabers, and then I am at McCarter Shannon, and Alex is at Alex Leonis.
Make sure to follow me on Twitter at PCGE_podcast. If you like what you heard, please subscribe, like, share, rate me a 5-star review if you liked it. If you really liked it, please feel free to head over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/beyondtheblastdoors. It would not only support my show, but would also be supporting all the amazing content creators that I mentioned earlier. Tiers start at only $5 a month. Almost said pounds, but yeah, $5 a month. And if you like game streaming, I am also Shenanigan_plays on Twitch, which is spelled SHENANIGEN_plays with an S, plural. Want to call us, leave us a message, you can do that if you're in the States at 331-2BEYOND. That's 331-223-9663. And you can also check out a fantastic moment from Shannon in a kind of like a documentary I released last week called The Moment Star Wars Spoke to Me. And we talk about Rey reaching for the lightsaber, which is actually funny. It's my moment too. And I was like, well, that Shannon said it 10 times better leaving it with her.
It's just we had the Shannon force bond is what happened.
We did. Like, I remember messaging you going, that's literally what I would say. Like, you just did it perfectly. And I was like, you know what? Great. So, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And yeah, we will see you guys next time.